Hey everyone. My name is Andrew, and I live in the relentless pulse of New York City, the place that never sleeps, where skyscrapers scrape the sky and streets throb with life around the clock. But behind that glittering facade of neon lights and rushing crowds, there are secrets tucked away in the most unexpected corners. This is my story, one that has transformed me from an ordinary guy into someone who now walks with one foot in everyday reality and the other in something ancient and supernatural. It's not a quick anecdote, it's a long, layered tale that unfolds slowly, like the roots of an old tree spreading beneath concrete. If you enjoy stories that keep you hooked, full of unexpected turns and a touch of the unexplainable, stick around. Imagine a simple walk through a park leading you to unearth not just a forgotten object, but a legacy that binds you to primal forces. What would you do if the heart of a modern metropolis revealed a guardian spirit protecting its hidden truths? Get ready, once you start, you'll want to see it through to the end. It all began in the fall of 2022. I was 28, working as a freelance photographer in Manhattan. My days were a whirlwind of studio shoots, snapping portraits of influencers and corporate events that paid the rent but left my soul hungry. To escape the urban chaos, I used to retreat to Central Park, that green oasis smack in the middle of all the concrete. With its serene lakes, arched bridges, and winding paths, it was my personal sanctuary. Camera slung over my shoulder, either capture the fleeting beauty of changing leaves or sunlight filtering through branches. It was the one place where time seemed to slow down, a perfect counterpoint to the city's frantic rhythm. One overcast October afternoon, I decided to explore a quieter section of the park, the North Woods. It's a wilder area designed to feel like untouched forest, rocky hills, trickling streams, dense foliage that almost makes you forget you're in one of the most densely populated cities on Earth. I had my usual gear, DSLR camera, collapsible tripod, water bottle, and a small urban survival kit, you never know in New York. The air smelled of damp earth and fallen leaves, with a faint hint of distant smoke from Simeone's illegal campfire. I wandered without a plan, following a leaf-covered trail that crunched under my boots. Something in the atmosphere pulled at me, a subtle intuition guiding me deeper into the unknown. After about 30 minutes, I reached a secluded clearing surrounded by centuries-old trees forming a near-perfect circle. In the center I noticed something odd, a deliberate pile of stones, stacked like an improvised cairn but weathered and cloaked in moss. It looked out of place in such a manicured park. Curious, I approached and carefully began removing the top stones with gloved hands. Beneath them, the soil was loose, as though recently disturbed. I pulled out my multi-tool and dug a little deeper. My pulse quickened when my fingers brushed something solid, an old wooden box, shoebox-sized, its lid covered in intricate carvings. The symbols looked like a blend of Native American motifs and something older, perhaps Celtic runes or forgotten pictographs. I opened it cautiously, and my heart skipped. Inside lay a leather-bound journal, pages yellowed and brittle, smelling of mold and age, plus an object wrapped in tattered, dusty cloth. I unwrapped it, a dark stone amulet carved into the shape of a wolf, its eyes catching the dim light in an unnatural, almost living way. The journal was handwritten in Victorian-era English, entries dating back to 1850. The first pages told the story of a man named Elias Hawthorne, an Irish immigrant who arrived in New York during the gold rush frenzy but fled to the wild woodlands, long before Olmsted designed the park, to escape debts and pursuers. According to the journal, Elias had discovered a hidden cave deep within the primeval forest that once covered Manhattan. He claimed the amulet was the key to the Guardian, a wolf spirit that protected the land from invaders, rooted in Lenape legends, the original people of the island. He warned, whoever carries it will be watched. The city does not forgive those who awaken its shadows. I chuckled to myself, it sounded like one of those ghost tour tales they sell in the village. Yet a part of me felt uneasy. I tucked the journal and amulet into my backpack and headed back to my Upper West Side apartment before dark. That night I dreamed of Silver Eyes stalking me from dark alleyways. The next day I couldn't resist. I read the journal cover to cover. It was gripping and terrifying. Elias described how, after finding the amulet, he began having visions, shadows moving through cobblestone streets, voices whispering in the wind that howled between half-built tenements. At first he blamed exhaustion or cheap whiskey, but soon he realized the city itself had changed for him. Trees in the park leaned toward him as he passed, crows followed him from rooftops. He wrote of a pact with the Guardian, in exchange for loyalty, he received forbidden knowledge, premonitions of urban disasters like fires or bridge collapses, that let him save lives or make money. But the price was isolation, friends drifted away, nights filled with paranoia. Elias ended his days alone, burying the amulet in the woods to break the cycle. He figured it was historical fiction, a cool find for a museum. I'm a rational person, I grew up on National Geographic documentaries and college history classes. But that afternoon, walking through the crowded chaos of Times Square, I noticed strange things. A stray dog rummaging through trash cans trotted over and barked furiously, eyes locked on my backpack. Later, in a nearby coffee shop, the barista, an older woman with a thick Bronx accent, stared at me and muttered, "What did you pull out of the park, Keith? Smells like old New York." He shrugged it off and left quickly, a chill crawling up my spine. That night the amulet vibrated on my nightstand. When I touched it, a flood of images hit me, visions of the city ablaze during the Great Fire of 1776, builders destroying sacred ground, and a giant wolf howling in defense of ancient spirits. The following days turned into a whirlwind of the inexplicable. I began having episodes during my park walks. Hidden paths appeared, leading to clearings where strange herbs cured my chronic insomnia instantly. But the nightmares came too, Elias' spectral figure begging me to return the amulet before the city claimed me. I tried to ignore it, throwing myself into work. A photo session on the High Line was interrupted when a flock of crows landed nearby, staring directly at me. Clients noticed my distraction. I lost a big contract because I showed up late, rattled by a vision of an impending construction collapse nearby. He decided to dig deeper. I went to the New York Public Library, at Grand Beaux-Arts building on Fifth Avenue, and combed through archives on urban legends. I found references to the Wolf Guardian of Manhattan, a protective spirit of the Lenape that watched over the land against unchecked expansion. Old texts mentioned disappearances in the original forests, explorers who entered and never returned, chosen by the Guardian to maintain balance between nature and civilization. An antique map showed subterranean caves beneath Central Park, relics of the Ice Age. My skepticism was cracking. What if the amulet had chosen me, in this age of skyscrapers and pollution? A week later things escalated dramatically. My roommate Jake, a Brooklyn-based programmer, noticed my erratic behavior and confronted me. I told him an edited version of the story, leaving out the supernatural parts, and showed him the journal. He laughed at first, but when he touched the amulet he gasped and dropped it like it burned. "It feels like Sometin's judging me," he said, "Pale." That night I found him sleepwalking toward the kitchen, muttering in a guttural language that sounded indigenous. He woke him just before he sliced his hand open with a knife. At dawn we discovered claw marks on the inside of our front door. Terrified, I tried to get rid of the amulet. He returned to the clearing in Northwoods and buried it again, covering it with stones. But the next day it was back in my pocket during a subway ride. The city wouldn't let me go. He started documenting everything, photos of the visions, though they came out distorted, detailed dream notes. I shared some anonymously with a local history group online and got chilling replies. One person wrote, "My great-grandfather mentioned that. The Guardian picks one Pereira. Reject it and it destroys you. Another, return it to the cave beneath the park, or the city will swallow you." Paranoia took hold. He saw elongated shadows in Greenwich Village alleys, heard distant howls blending with nighttime traffic. Work suffered more. I cancelled shoots because I feared endangering others. Hake convinced me to seek expert help. We contacted Dr. Elena Torres, an anthropologist specializing in indigenous cultures at the American Museum of Natural History. She examined the amulet in her office and went pale. "This is the eye of the wolf. It isn't yours to keep. You must complete the ritual, enter the cave and offer it back. But be warned, the Guardian will test your courage and your bond to the land." The cave. According to Elias' journal, it lay hidden beneath a rocky outcrop near Harlem Mere, accessible only during low water in an underground stream. Hake and I geared up, LED flashlights, climbing rope, portable GPS, first aid kit. We set out at dusk when the park emptied of joggers and tourists. The path was grueling, the woods seemed to resist us, roots rising like snares, branches clawing like living things. After an hour we found the entrance, a camouflaged fissure behind an artificial cascade, descending into a damp, pitch-black tunnel. Inside it was a maze of rock passages, echoing drips, and air thick with ancient moisture. We followed the Hornell's sketches, passing chambers with faded rock paintings, wolves, spirits, protective symbols. In the central chamber we found a stone altar etched with patterns matching the amulet. I placed the object there and recited the words Dr. Torres had translated from Lenape. Guardian, I return what was taken. Release me from your watch. Then hell broke loose. The ground shook, rocks fell from the ceiling. A silhouette emerged from the darkness, not a physical wolf, but an ethereal form, silver eyes glowing with ancient intelligence. It studied us, and I felt a torrent of emotions, rage at urban pollution, sorrow for lost sacred lands, and an offer. In my mind a deep voice rumbled, you have been tested. Bear my mark. Defend what remains. Hake screamed in terror, but I was frozen. The figure dissolved, and the cave steadied. We emerged alive but forever changed. Hake swore silence and moved the queen soon after, putting distance between us. Me. I'm still here in New York. The amulet vanished that night, but a claw-shaped scar now marks my palm. I see the city differently now. I volunteer in campaigns against gentrification that destroys green spaces. I lead ecotours through Central Park. Sometimes in dreams the Guardian warns me of threats, invasive real estate projects, pollution creeping up the Hudson. Am I its watcher now? I'm not entirely sure. But the story didn't end there. Months later, in spring 2023, I received an anonymous email, a photo of the clearing, stones disturbed again. Who else knows? It asked. Digging deeper, I discovered a secret network of urban guardians, descendants of Lenape people and occult enthusiasts, who track similar artifacts in cities like Chicago and San Francisco. I joined their clandestine meetings in Brooklyn basements, sharing experiences. One member, a veteran named Tom, told how the Guardian saved him from a subway collapse during a simulated quake. Then came the biggest test. In summer 2024 a vision showed me a corporate plan to clear part of Northwoods for a luxury hotel. The group we organized protests, gathered petitions, even legally exposed corruption in public records. During a nighttime demonstration the Guardian manifested, strong winds toppled construction signs, crows dive-bombed surveillance drones. We won, the project was scrapped. But not without cost, anonymous threats followed, shadows trailing me on the subway. In fall 2025 we found a second journal in an old Greenwich Village bookstore, written by a woman in the 1920s who had carried the amulet. She described how the Guardian evolves with the city, adapting to modern dangers like climate change. Inspired, I started an anonymous blog about urban legends, drawing followers who shared similar stories, a spirit in Florida's Everglades, another in Seattle's forests. My life became intertwined with this invisible web of protectors. Today, in 2026, as I write this from my apartment overlooking the park, I feel the Guardian's presence. Last night I dreamed of a wildfire approaching the city's edges. This morning I organized a volunteer patrol. We found evidence of reckless campers and stopped them. The woods, or what's left of them in this metropolis, seem grateful, paths open on their own, animals guide me. Coincidence? I doubt it. If Jube made it this far, thank you for walking this path with me. Have you ever experienced anything like this in your city? Guardian spirits lurking in urban shadows? Or am I just a photographer with an overactive imagination? The truth is out there, in parks and alleyways. If you ever feel a pull from the shadows, listen. Or don't. The choice is yours. And who knows, maybe my story isn't over yet. Stay tuned, there could be more revelations coming.